Hey guys, Dan here and Joe, and it's Dan's big movie.
It is.
It's Dan's small review for a big movie.
Yep.
Because
Take two.
Take two. We recorded the Princess Diaries and Princess Diaries 2 a few weeks ago, and now it's gone.
Yep.
So we are gonna do sort of a quickie. I know the Dan's big movies are usually like an hour or more in length.
Not this time.
But not this time. I think we're just gonna kind of hit the bullet points. We wanted to at least put something up there and still talk about it.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be more bullet point related. We won't go over all the minutia of the movies, but
summarize our stuff if we can.
Right.
Yeah.
But so for August, this was the anniversary. This was the 20th anniversary of the first one, and then the second one was 2004. And these are movies I had never seen. You had seen both of them once.
Yes, a long time ago.
But when they basically first came out.
Yeah.
And this was Anne Hathaway's, we discovered, first film.
Hard to believe, yeah.
She'd done maybe a couple of TV things, maybe some commercials, but first movie ever, and she's the star of it.
What a hit.
Julie Andrews, of course, the name, but she was really the star. So what a hit. So the first one is where we sort of discover who she is and what the deal is. And I know one of the big complaints you had about the first one is that the logic doesn't quite make sense.
Oh, about the country?
That if A and B don't happen, and she doesn't become the heir or whatever it is,
then the whole
country collapses.
And another country can take it over.
I'm like,
that's just not how that works.
It doesn't make sense. But look, through it all, we discover that she goes through this change of, okay, she's a big nerd, but then she takes the glasses off and she's beautiful. We know this. And then...
and she does go through 3 stages before she becomes Anne Hathaway, finally.
Right. Finally, by the end, she's Anne Hathaway. But she loses her friends in the process because she becomes kind of a pain in the butt and focused on being a queen or whatever.
Secret,
or being princess. And then all the while, Julie Andrews is her long-lost grandmother that she didn't know. But Hector Elizondo is great as the cab driver, or the royal driver.
Royal driver, bodyguard, dance instructor, best friend.
He's everybody.
Romantic interest for the queen,
interest, which we learn more about in the second one.
Movie.
But
everything.
Yeah, so look, this was a fun movie.
It was pretty good.
It really was.
Yeah.
I think a couple of things were a bit progressive about it.
Yeah.
The best friend being a big lesbian, clearly. Now they didn't say it.
You also
or
thought the
spell it
one
out,
guy
but
was gay. That's why,
did.
because he wasn't in. Like, why wasn't?
But
he
then
interested?
that didn't happen. He was straight.
Yeah, she was. You think she was the gay?
But this was G. Remember, this movie was rated G.
Also,
both of these were G.
Also, all the San Francisco gay jokes too.
Yes.
Like he might be with and prefer the company of
and
a
2, I think, had more of those.
Well,
2 was more blatant with the sexual innuendos and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was much worse. But, but 2 is a different story. But
we'll talk about that in a second.
Number 1 was progressive with its humor and some of its themes, but also with stuff that might have been just too adult. Like, remember, one of the big issues was the paparazzi, and then she's like supposed to be 15.
That's right.
Remember?
And they get like these paparazzi photos of her like changing in her bikini,
almost naked. I mean, like, whoa,
that's extreme. That's right. And, paparazzi obviously
do those sort of things. But I think
yikes,
even they'd probably get in trouble for something like
that. In
a
G-rated Disney, that seemed a little extreme,
just a bit.
I get it. It's 2001. We're pushing the envelope a little bit. But today, this would most certainly be rated PG, at least, but
also progressive in the sense, I think, because I think it sort of was kind of one of the first Disney movies, to sort of look at the Disney princess and kind of
I mean, it was before Enchanted. It was sort of this, I guess, sort of did kick off
the strong, independent,
that era,
well-rounded, at least for live action. Because I think beforehand you had, of course, the Bells and the Mulans, and but this is like kind of really evaluating the traditional princess and what goes into it. But also, I think one of the best things about the movie is kind of like the realizing your best strengths and being yourself, and that was kind of her.
It's definitely a strong, makes a strong case. Yeah, strong message. It makes a strong case for individuality, being yourself, learning what your strengths are,
and kind of
maybe tweaking your weaknesses a little bit.
And also, true beauty is kind of like, on the inside as well, because, she goes through that as well. So
I can't disagree with any of that.
There's a lot of good stuff, I think, for young girls and people in general in the movie. Also, a lot of great slapstick physical comedy that we kind of like, but sometimes think it's too much.
Listen, I do think some of it, we get it. She's clumsy. Like, that's a recurring gag.
You like the part where she lights the guy on fire and everyone just tries to emulate her?
That part was hilarious.
She does.
Dude, you watched it with me. I was howling at some of these scenes.
There were some funny parts.
Very, very funny. And I think this was the beginning of that new Disney live action renaissance, because they had, of course, the animation at this point was sort of on the downward spiral. You had like Home on the Range and Chicken Little and things that weren't considered the top tier, sort of that bridge between, I would say the last of the greats was maybe Emperor's New Groove or something.
Yeah, this would have been right around
Hunchback, sort of all in that era. And then really the next really great one was Princess and the Frog, Tangled, and that was 10 years apart.
True.
So this was the reinstatement of the really popular live action female empowerment stories, because you had Freaky Friday with Lindsay Lohan, Parent Trap, Lindsay Lohan again, these movies with Anne Hathaway. I believe Disney did Ella Enchanted, right? That was Anne Hathaway as well.
Yes.
Not positive that was Disney, but in that same vein.
Yeah.
And so I think this sort of ushered in that era.
Which is the one
of new, hot live action Disney movies.
Actually, which one was Amy Adams?
That was Enchanted.
Enchanted, not Ella Enchanted. Okay.
No, not Ella Enchanted.
Sometimes
Which, by the way, I know our friend Justin, Enchanted is one of his favorite Disney movies.
Oh.
I just read they are, in fact, making a sequel. It's happening. I believe it's called Disenchanted. And I think it's set for release next year. So,
wow.
I just read that today.
Did you like that Mandy Moore was kind of the villain? Sort of?
One of the villains? I'm a Moore fan.
Yeah, she's good.
At this point, of course, she was a pop princess. I hadn't done a lot of acting, I think, at this point.
No.
I don't know when Saved was. That was the first time I saw her act, I think.
2004 or something?
I love that movie.
3,
but yeah, she was, kind of the mean girl in this movie.
This one feels like a precursor to Mean Girls with that whole subplot.
And it's interesting, a little bit.
And that was another thing I liked about it, was that the different cliques and the way that the way that Anne Hathaway behaved as a teenager, I felt like she was believable in all the different stages.
Yeah,
and all her friends.
I agree.
They seemed like they were kind of fitting into certain areas, tropes, but at the same time they were believable. So it felt like a believable high school.
Her best friend is played by Heather Mazzarato, who is great in this movie, and we've all seen her in various things. We pulled up her thing and we were like, she's in this and that and the other. But
another reason you like her character is because she has her own little cable show.
Oh my god, she has the basic cable show on cable access, and she tries to get Anne Hathaway to come on,
and that doesn't make it.
She
cancels with the a-hole guy that just wants to be with her to get the
kids. Who was I think he was in Meet the Deedles or one of those other bad Disney movies that I kind of liked.
Meet the Deedles.
Remember Meet the Deedles? It was like those surfing kids.
I do not.
I saw that in the theaters.
Oh, jeez.
What is his name? Eric Von Detten. I think he might have played Wally as well on the Leave It to Beaver movie they did.
And there was, of course, the guy that she liked that worked on the car that liked her.
Mm-hmm. I liked him a lot. Yeah, he was sweet boy.
I'm just trying to go over the things I want to come. Oh, and also, forgot. Great Sandra Oh's the assistant principal.
That's right.
And she's in love with
early Sandra Oh.
Oh, you're so. Any idea do anything for you?
Yeah, she loves the magic of the queen.
Has one of the best lines where Mandy Moore
gets in trouble, right?
Mandy Moore's making fun of the one nerdy kid.
That's right.
And then Anne Hathaway's like, you know what? I no way to make your shirt look better, and takes the ice cream, rubs it on her, and she's like, "Oh, Mrs. Such Such, she's doing something." She's like, "Oh, just get it dry clean." Doesn't care at all.
Sandra Oh does not care. Yeah, she was a great principal. One of the great movie principals, probably.
She's pretty good.
She was pretty good. But listen, the elephant in the room here is Julie Andrews, who we have not talked about yet.
See, elephant in the room usually is a bad thing, right? I feel like the right connotation.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I always think of elephant in the room as just the thing that no one's talked about yet, but is so obvious.
I guess, but I feel like the connotation is usually
all right,
bad.
Well, maybe. Not in this case. In this case, it's a great elephant. We love it. It's the Dumbo.
Yes.
But yes, this was her first movie in almost 20 years, we learned.
Wow.
And she just slides right back into that role, that sort of, it is a little Poppins-esque, a little Maria-esque.
Yeah, it has that classic Disney, old Hollywood kind of feel. Like, it's very similar to those characters.
I mean, look, I guess really the Maria of the mix is Anne Hathaway.
Yes.
Because, of course, Maria was sort of lumbering all over the place as the
what's she gonna do?
Nun.
Finding her place. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they sing that big song about how she's a bee at her wedding.
That's I don't understand.
I don't get that part of Sound of Music, but this was her first movie in about 20 years, and they shot it mostly on the lot that they shot Mary Poppins on. So a lot of sort of memories there with her, but her chemistry with Hathaway is great.
No, they do really good together, and I think that that really says a lot about Hathaway being able to match with her. We talked about that.
Yeah, what a legend.
And what's weird
Julie
too
Andrews is
I didn't click. It didn't click for me all those years ago that Julie Andrews was in this movie, and that I thought I just think of her as like Mary Poppins,
sure,
for a long time. So I think watching it again, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. This really was her. So it really is a very Disney move.
Yeah, yeah. And it's funny. I guess they sort of have always done that. Like, as Tim and I are going through the old Disney movies, it's like somebody will pop up and it's like, oh yeah, they were in
or Poppins.
Yeah, they would be in a movie. Oh, we saw them in a movie from 10 years earlier playing this role, and yep, here she is again.
Staples.
Disney loves to go back to their people, and they still do that today. But I love anything really that Julie Andrews does. I mean, I haven't ever seen her give a bad performance, but she's sort of the opposite. Very straight-laced, very stuck
sophisticated,
a bit of a Poppins.
But I think she's all right. I would
more
say
down to earth, probably.
She's
than
more
Poppins.
Well, I know. I would say Poppins is probably maybe a little nicer though. Though this queen isn't really mean. She's just a bit out of sorts with the common people.
Yes, that's true.
But she's trying to reconnect with her granddaughter. So it's like the part where they try to drive the car is great, and they crash.
Is actually, she's trying to learn.
She knights the cops, and she's like, "Oh,
was funny.
We'll give you this medal."
And then they came to the ceremony.
It has a callback.
Yeah.
Fall through.
This was a very good movie.
It was very good.
I was pleasantly surprised.
It was good.
It was very good. So I forget what grade I gave it when we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to leave this with a B. Oh, you know what? I remember. I gave it a B+. Did
I give it a B?
You gave it a B.
That's all right.
And I think that seems about right.
Yeah, I think it is good. I actually don't remember my negatives too much. I think it was...
Well, you hated the plot conceits.
The plot conceits were weak.
Yeah.
The the actual what's at stake here, and maybe some of the physical comedy was overdone. But other than that...
I think you thought she was a little too clumsy.
Well, sometimes
I thought it was kind of cute, but yes, most of the time it was a little much.
Pushing it. But really, other than that, I think it was pretty darn good. It was a solid movie.
For a G-rated kids movie.
And,
I think it's very, very cute.
People liked it generally, except for Ebert, who thought it was like 2 stars.
Yeah, so we always do the Rotten and the Ebert. We won't subject you to all the things we usually do with, looking at the specific reviews. But yeah, it's 48% critics.
Wow.
And 68% audience. I am shocked that it's that split with the critics. Maybe they thought it was too silly, but I think it's cute.
I think some people said it was redundant to other things or
yeah, something. I guess so. But look, Hathaway, for a first-time performance, this really is a star-making turn here. She became a star after this.
For a family film that's pretty inoffensive but has a good message, I think you could do a lot worse.
Yep, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I think Ebert maybe gave it 2 stars or something.
I honestly think he's just in a bad mood some days. Like, what?
Sometimes I just don't get him, to be honest. But all right. So then we move on to Princess Diaries 2, A Royal Engagement. And here we move, 7 years or something? 6 years into the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, here she's done college already.
It's a weird movie, man.
It's, it actually is. It's very weird.
Chris Pine.
Chris Pine is in one of his first movies here.
Baby Pine.
And he looks like he's 12. God bless his heart.
Big hair.
But he plays sort of the
suitor,
the prince wannabe, I guess.
All right.
Right?
Well, this is a movie that I remember had much more problems with. Like, he is sort of like the suitor because his father is the guy from Indiana Jones and Gimli from Lord of the Rings.
Right.
Help me out. I always forget his name.
I'll have to look. Well, I forget his name.
He's Gimli.
Yeah,
he's the bad
good old
guy.
Gimli.
And he,
as we know,
at first they're like, okay, we want But once again, we got the weird conceits where this time, we do see they have a Congress.
John Rhys Davies.
John Rhys Davies, that guy. He was good. I actually like the villain a little more in this movie than the other one. They were kind of throwaways.
Yeah.
But like once again, if she doesn't marry now, then the entire
this time she has to marry, and she has to marry the right person, and this, that, and again, she's sort of torn between two guys.
And like Pine is like somebody they want to get and to take the power from this family, but then that doesn't work, so then we just want to sabotage. Weird.
Before we get into the weirdness of it, I do want to point out some of the things involved, though, because we noticed right away Shonda Rhimes, who created Grey's Anatomy and all that, she wrote it, and this is not based on any of the books. Unlike the first movie. Apparently the first movie was based on a book. So this one sort of takes its own direction, and I think it shows because it's so unfocused.
But we do like that everybody was committed because everybody came back. Director,
everybody was
pretty much everybody
definitely
came back.
involved. Even Heather Mazzarato makes a little appearance.
So it's like
Hector Elizondo is here.
People are on board.
Raven Simone shows up for a couple of scenes.
Oh, and the guy you don't like.
We noticed little Abigail Breslin was in it.
Oh, yeah, Baby Breslin.
Baby Brez.
The guy that I forgot to mention.
Who do I hate?
The bald guy you don't like, the barber.
Oh, that's right. So Larry Miller,
Hello,
who is always just a jerk.
I will make you the prettiest.
That's like his go-to in these kids' movies. And in the first one, he is sort of the hairdresser or something.
He's the guy that makes it pretty. Yeah.
And then in the second one, he even shows up again and whatever. But the biggest problem with this movie is the tone.
Plot.
All right, now we're getting off course.
Sorry.
Tonally, it's all over the place. Now there is a big scene in the middle.
Your favorite part.
That lasts about 10 or 12 minutes.
The slumber party.
It's a slumber party. All
the princesses in the world. All the princesses in the world.
I think I had a blast watching this scene.
I lost it.
I laughed so hard, but we couldn't figure out how much of it was the sheer ridiculousness that this was in this movie.
I think I asked you what the F was happening.
Or you did. You were like, I don't know what's going on. Or was it actually funny? And I think it was a mixture of the two.
Yeah.
Part of the humor did come from the fact that it was so out of left field, so bizarre. They're like skiing down the steps and like all this craziness.
All right, here's the thing.
Julie Andrews was singing, which was great.
They did get her to sing, and
I loved that.
Raven came in to help.
Raven did the rapping.
Here's the thing. In all fairness, it makes sense because she's learning to try to be a queen and be effective for the people. So in a very Disney kidified fashion, I'm going to invite all the princesses of the world, have a big slumber party because we're kids and it's fun and sure. But
she wants to help out the kids of the world.
But it's so
noble,
but it's very silly and it
very silly.
Breaks up the movie because it goes on so long.
Yes, it's like I said, it's 10 or 12 minutes, and the movie's only like an hour and 40.
So in terms of like plot progression, it kind of puts things to a dead stop. Like what?
It's right in the middle of the movie.
It's just weird.
But this is the scene where we see the great Stan Lee.
He's
trying to get his daughter into the mix.
As if this movie wasn't weird enough.
And we couldn't figure out still to this day. We looked up on Google why is he in this movie? Did he have something to do with one of the cast members or one of the crew members? Nobody can figure it out. We think.
I like my theory.
We think that he just liked the first movie. Or his granddaughter liked the first movie.
Some grad kid liked it.
And
can I be in
can I be in the second one,
I'd
Daddy?
like it if I could be in there.
Sure.
Excelsior.
And this was before Marvel and Disney hooked up, so it's not like anything with that.
It's been confirmed. Princess Diaries is part of the MCU.
It's canon, actually. it's canon. Yes. Now, Hathaway, she did Catwoman in DC, but she hasn't done Marvel, right?
Give her time. But I'll tell you what, though.
And Chris Pine did, of course, Trevor, what's his name?
Well, he's a DC guy, too.
He's DC, but he's not
Marvel.
Marvel, is he, right?
No. I'll tell you what, though.
Tell me.
And I think you'll agree with me on this. Even though I think this movie has its problems, it has these random highlights that are good.
Yeah.
And I think this is one of the best Stan Lee cameos.
I agree completely.
It's good.
And it's so unexpected. Sometimes in these Marvel movies, you're looking for it, and there's Stan again. But this was you and I both were just shot up and were like, wait.
What?
That's Stan Lee, right?
Why?
Yeah, so weird. Well, look, not to get into too many details ahead of the curve, but since we did already do this review, even though we're saying a lot of negatives, this for me was a B-, and for you was a C+. Yeah. So only a bit of a step down.
Yeah.
Two little notches lower. So let's talk about some of the positives.
Well, I'll tell you one of the positives.
Because we said it's kind of a crazy movie.
It is all over the place, and one of the things that I did like about it was that once again, it's kind of building on the theme of the first movie of kind of like this strong.
Yeah, the messages are even stronger here,
like,
I think.
Yeah, because she ends up being queen by the end. Spoilers. Right. But the thing about it that I liked, though, is that, which was weird to me, which is it felt like it was kind of two movies where they couldn't quite the balance of, we've got to have the silly kid stuff, but the stuff...
Because this is G again.
It's G again, but once again, they kind of have some humor.
Yeah.
That's...
some sex jokes too.
There's straight up
that
sex
are
jokes
like kind
about
of blatant.
The length of his sword versus his length. And
I think even a kid would get that.
The horse something and
that's right.
The horse. I was like,
something about a horse penis. Basically, like that was the. They didn't say that, but that was the reference.
Even some of the physical comedy, sometimes it goes too far, but it's funny for dark reasons, like when she's trying to shoot the arrows and almost kills people.
Yes, that's good.
But in all seriousness, though, the weird thing about it is you've got the silly kid stuff, but the more serious plot, once you get into it, is a little better. And with her trying to find the right suitor and struggling to have romance,
and I think makes more sense than the first one.
It does.
I know that's a big problem with the first one.
It does make a little more sense, but the drama and dramatic acting of it felt honestly like it could have been its own movie that wasn't a Disney kids movie, which was fine.
Yeah,
but it
they could have aged it up a little and made it PG.
You know,
maybe.
And honestly, the ending of the movie I actually liked. Like there were things. Basically, recalling how I felt about it. I just thought there were the things that this movie did well. I think from character standpoint and its message was better than the first movie.
I would agree with that,
but it was not as evenly distributed throughout.
No, I think our grades are right because I think the first one is a more consistent film all the way through. But I agree. There's a lot of things about this to sort of pick out that are good. And I think another one is, to bring it back to Andrews again, the whole plot sort of with her character, the Queen, and Hector Elizondo, where they sort of had this unrequited love, couldn't be together because she chose country over romance and stuff like that. Like, I thought that was really interesting, too.
And that was also something, forgot to mention about the first movie, that was kind of something about her responsibility. And she was mad about the father basically leaving, why to do that. And it was like, well...
Oh, yeah, we didn't really talk about that from the first movie.
Because that was a big part, because the mom, we hated the mom initially.
Yeah, she was out of control.
That was good. But the idea was that, okay, your father... he didn't really want to abandon you because he didn't love you. He wanted to actually take on the responsibility of caring for his people.
Right.
So she's kind of learning about making those sacrifices.
Yeah, making those same decisions.
That's a pretty strong message that they follow through again in this movie.
Yeah.
I do like it when a friend literally comes out of the closet.
I thought that was so great that they had the best friend literally come out of the closet, as if we didn't get it from the first movie. Look, Disney's always been progressive with the gay stuff. So I always appreciate that. But Chris Pine also was good here.
Good, yeah.
Nothing wrong there. I think they had, just like, the first movie, with her chemistry with Julie Andrews was great. Her chemistry with Chris Pine, fantastic.
Didn't you remember there were those two random bodyguard maid ladies that were there?
Oh yeah.
They did what did they do?
That was very weird.
There were some strange things.
Did they try to murder somebody? Yeah.
No.
Don't they try and murder Chris Pine's uncle?
Do they? I
forget what happens.
They do weird
we
stuff.
watched this about a month and a half ago at this point, so it's
weeks and weeks
but
ago.
But yeah, they were weird characters. That was a recurring kind of gag.
And I never got it.
I never quite got the gag there. All right, so the Rotten is worse on this.
Of course.
We should talk about the soundtrack, too. These are great, early 2000s sort of kid-friendly soundtracks.
Very light pop stuff.
26% on the critics. Audience almost the same though, 59. I think the first one was 68.
So not that much of a drop.
Not that much of a drop, but for critics, more of a drop. I think they're being too harsh on both of these movies.
I don't really get it.
I think 26%. I think these are good, lighthearted. Like you said, the messages are good.
Yeah, for family.
The acting is fine.
The acting's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it's a silly. Look, not everything has to be Birdman here. And I think sometimes critics get a little on their high horse, Yeah. Movies, and look, Disney does it better than most.
Yeah.
Alexander and the Very Bad Day was fun. A lot of the movies that they put out of the live action variety that are for little kids are fun.
Yeah, I think there's some good stuff here.
And I think certainly this one, because of the Julie Andrews connection, has a strong appeal for adults too.
Yes.
I don't think it's one that they would have been miserable to be dragged to back in the day.
I don't think so. I think there's stuff here, especially in the second movie. I think there's more stuff for adults. It's kind of thrown in there.
That big scene in the middle. Well, boy, that is strictly for kids.
100% for little kids. Yeah,
although they make Andrew sing, and that's for the adults. Right?
And it was pretty cool she could do that.
Yeah, because that was right after her voice issues. And, yeah. All right. Well, look. I think this is a fine redo of this video.
Not bad, yeah.
You know,
cover all the basics.
We usually will have longer videos for the Dan's Big Movie. The next one we're going to tackle is Rat Race and Big Trouble. After that, we've got hopefully the Whoopi double. The Shakespeare
modern
remake. Yeah, the modern Shakespeare double with Baz Luhrmann's Romeo plus Juliet. And then December is going to be, I think, big one musicals that we're going to love. Big musicals. West Side Story celebrating, I think, the 60th. And Fiddler on the Roof celebrating the 50th.
Wow.
So big anniversaries for those. And, of course, in December, the Spielberg West Side Story comes out. So timely as well. But, yeah, thanks for joining. And, Joe, I appreciate us having this conversation again.
You know what? It was still fun talking about it again. It was worth it.
Yes, indeed. Thanks for watching. We'll see everybody next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.